Good morning and welcome in on this wet Friday morning. I know some places in the UK have had lots of snow, but that is not us included. We've just had rain. But never mind. I'm not out building snowmen or having snowball fights. I'm here with you instead, which is all good and fun. And this morning we're going to have a bit of a play with the trees. So let's find said dragonflies in our catalogue. So the Dragonfly Garden stamp set and the coordinating punch that goes with it, and the Dandy Garden suite in its entirety. Morning Janice and morning Em. The Dandy Garden suite in its entirety has two stamp sets, one with coordinating dies and one with coordinating punch. You've got 6x6 papers, you've got these cute little ladybird trinkets, some mossy meadow and braided trim. There's many more card packs in there, as well as cards and envelopes that go with them, and these really lovely laser cut pieces. So a great big suite packed full of all sorts of things, but we're going to be concentrating today on the dragonflies and the Dragonfly Garden bundle. I will just need to somewhere along the line find the dragonfly punch, but I'm sure that there it is, right under my nose, that will come to light in a minute. Okay, so I have had a bit of a play with this previously, and I think I've shared some of these with you. These were from our Stampin' Up on stage at home, the big convention that we had, that we were creating using these projects, and I played with the dragonflies again last week. Was it only last week when we had our launch? Yes, it was last Tuesday. So they've had a bit of an outing, but we're going to give them a bit of more of an outing this morning. As I say, they're really love anything that's got punches with it. Good morning, Jane. So even if you haven't got a die cutting machine yet, because I'm sure it will be yet, punches do mean that you can still create lots of sort of pop-up elements fairly easily without too much fussy cutting. And the papers with this are actually really interesting. The papers with this collection, the colourways are quite unusual and really sort of striking. Quite detailed patterns on there, as well as things like those simple stripes and things. And you've got your dandelions in blackberry bliss, as well as lots of dragonflies that you can punch out. These flashes of yellow. And then on the back there you've got all these dandelions, because dandelions feature heavily in the stamp set that also coordinates with this in this suite. So some really lovely papers, blues, bumblebees, calypso coral, so just a little bit different really. It's a lovely paper with all these dragonflies flying about amongst the dandelions. So a great pack of paper, 6x6 to say, rather than the 12x12s. And the dragonfly stamp set, you've got two different dragonflies that have got different markings on their wings. And these two dragonflies you'll be able to punch out with your coordinating punch. Also on your punch you've got a smaller dragonfly that you can use to punch out some of your dragonflies in your paper, but equally you can just punch out little dragonflies to add to projects and things. You've got this little splattering of butterflies, which is a really useful stamp. You've got your blobby stamp here that will add colour to your wings, and you've got this beautiful sort of wildflower stamp, really quite tall stamp. Yeah, and some nice greetings in there as well. So a lovely combination of things. So let me have a think. What are we going to play with today? Might take some of that Mossy Meadow paper there. And possibly some of that one. That's really lovely, isn't it, with all those dandelions on. Got this one with all these bees. I did cut out a couple of bees somewhere for one of the projects. But let's see how we go. So I'm going to take this piece of paper, and I think we'll have some Mossy Meadow cardstock. Actually, we might do that card second. There's nothing like indecision, is there? I used to be indecisive, but now I can't make up my mind. I'm going to take a piece of, I'm still using thick Whisper White. I haven't yet got any basic white in stock. That order is going in today. How long it's going to take to get here. Orders are taking a little while at the moment with the I think worldwide there are holds ups at the ports and things. Adding into that, we had the pressures of COVID, and we had the closure of the borders just before Christmas. That has created some backlog, and then of course added into the mix we've got Brexit and new customs regulations and checks at borders and things. So with everything going on, orders are taking a little while to get here, but they are moving, they are on their way. That's the main thing. Some little strips of paper there that I might access. Use up some of the partial sheets, as well as starting on big square ones. Right, I think for this first one we're going to keep it relatively simple, but we'll start with a dragonfly. You find a piece of cardstock that is going to allow us. Excellent, you've got some, Jane. That's good. I've heard good things about the basic white, so I'm glad that you're finding it good. You know, they said that it was going to be a much bluer white, and I have had people that have felt that our Whisper White was slightly yellowy. I think somebody described it as. It's probably a good description. Right, Dragonfly. I'm going to stamp him to start with. I think in I might stamp him in Mossy Meadow, actually. And then I'm going to take this little stamp that stamps the wings. Now it doesn't line up perfectly, it was never meant to. Have some misty moonlight. We'll have a little bit of bumblebee, because that's colours that we find in our papers. And then somewhere in between there, I think I might take some shaded spruce. And let's grab some sponge daubers, I think. We'll have some bumblebee, some misty moonlight, and found every green apart from the one I want, shaded spruce. So I'm going to take these 3 colours. Let's start with some Misty Moonlight at the sort of base of the wing, and then we'll come on to some shaded spruce. Now, of course, that wasn't very logical, because what we should have done is done it the other way round, because we don't really want to get the darker colours on here. Right. So as I say, they don't line up exactly. The idea is to give a background of colour. Rather lovely. Right, I'm going to start this time with a bumblebee on this end, because we don't really want to get too much shaded spruce or Misty Moonlight in our bumblebee. Ink pad, and then let's come in on the end. Lovely. Right, I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight and just bring that down the body. Obviously I'm going to punch that out in a minute, so that won't be quite so all over the place. Now, the other thing I might do before I cut that out some frost white shimmer paint in here, so I'm going to punch it out first, just because that's going to make it wet. So let's punch out a dragonfly. I need to take a little snip off the bottom of there, I think, to fit it in. That's gotcha. Now I've taken that corner off. Oh, we've got a little one there as well, but we don't need the little one. We just want the big one. On here a minute. So this is frost white shimmer paint mixed up with some rubbing alcohol. Let's just give that a good spritz over the top. So that will give him some shimmery wings. Very exciting. Get my stamping mist, and I'll just rub. I'm going to put him to one side to continue to dry off. I don't know whether you're going to be able to pick up the shimmer on that. You might be able to. There we are. If I shine some artificial light on it, you'll be able to pick that up. Oh, but rather a nice, looks like the bat signal. Who's called for Batman? Just mop up a bit of that ink off of there. Now let's come back to some of our papers that we had. A bit of this blue. And I think we'll have a little strip of green. Can come this way because we don't need much more than that. So that was just a very random, it's just over 2 centimeters. I wasn't even really paying much attention to how much that was. And then I'd like a little strip of yellow somewhere along the line. We'll have a little strip of this dandelion print one. Again, I've not taken much notice of how wide that is. It's just about. Let's bring in our card front. And we'll straighten those up a bit. That's got a bit of a wonky edge on it. I know it's stripes, and sometimes stripes can send your eyes a bit too lally, but that is definitely wonky. So these were just making quite random sort of strips. That blue one is slightly shorter than the others. We're going to build those up across the centre. Take a stitched circle, and we will do that in might do that in Mossy Meadow. So this is the second one down, second circle down in the stitched shapes. The oldest of our stitch shape collection, but still one that comes out regularly. Let's bring in some of the Mossy Meadow braided trim. I'm just going to shape that a little bit. It's still a little bit damp from where I've spritzed it, so I'm not going to get too heavy handed on it. I need to sort out my stamping seals. That one needs a new refill. Let's take the Stamping Seal Plus and we'll run that down the back here, because what I want to do is put some twirl of the Mossy Meadow behind there. Let's have this coming in and sticking on there. I've buried all my adhesive under the pile of DSP. We'll pop some dimensionals on the back of there, ready to stick that up. I'm not sticking it on just yet because I've not stuck my strips of paper on. I'm going to bring in this little smattering of butterflies. Again, I'm going to take the Mossy Meadow ink. And we'll have some coming up there and some coming down there. And we'll have our, I'm actually going to just tear the ends of this, I think. Have a green stripe. Hi Jackie. We'll have a green strip, a blue stripy strip. And then we'll have a yellow strip. Let's take our backings off of our dimensionals and we'll put our green circle on and have it so that those threads are coming the opposite direction to my butterfly swirl. We've got our shimmery. Oh, you need your marmalade to set, Jackie. I saw something from one of the local farm shops to say that they'd got their Seville oranges in, and I thought, oh, it'd be quite nice to make some marmalade. Might have to see if I can get my hands on some. It's nothing quite like proper marmalade. I'm a bit of a Paddington bear when it comes to marmalade. Do love a marmalade sandwich, although don't tend to keep them under my hat. Morning, Molly. Right, so we're going to stick our shimmery dragonfly on there. Then we need one of our greetings. Thank you for your kindness. I'm going to put it onto a bit of strip of Whisper White. Will it fit on there? Might just about, if we all breathe in. Yes, it fitted. Let's find a little bit more. Another scrappy bit of, oh, actually, it might fit on there. Let's use up the other end of our circle. round there. Top, I think. So that was using that infill stamp to colour our wings, but not doing it one solid colour, using our daubers and adding in 3 different colours. Let's lift this up. And then I think thought I'd lost my embellishments then, but I think I'm going to take the opal rounds. Now the opal rounds come from a different suite altogether. But I quite like the sort of the shimmeriness of them. I think will work quite nicely with the fact that we've added some shimmer to our dragonfly. So there he is, one very shimmery. So that was frost white paint in alcohol, rubbing alcohol, to create that spritz, to give our dragonfly some shimmer. So that one's quite sort of clean and simple looking card. Let's just move some of these things out of the way and clean these stamps up, and then we'll come in for a second card. I'm going to do a bit of a fancy foldy type card for this second one. Just scanning my punches because I do need a punch other than my dragonfly punch for this one. Aha, I can see it. I want my classic label punch. That's absolutely fine, Jackie. They're not going anywhere. They will be here. So wings, greeting, dragonfly. We'll perhaps use that other dragonfly for the second card because right, a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock, and I'm going to cut this to make it a long ways card. So I'm going to cut it at 10.5 centimeters. So it's a piece of cardstock cut in half lengthwise, whatever that means for you wherever you are, and then scored in half. To create a nice side opening card like that. I'm then going to chop I think about 5 centimeters will go, so a couple of inches off of that end. So we've got a sort of short cardstock. I might come back to our little bit that we did with yellow, the little yellow seeded dandelions on. I'm going to cut this to fit as a back mat, so I'm going to cut that at 10 by 14.4. Come on here. And then this one, we've taken 5 off of there, so it was 14.9. It will now be 9.9. So we want a bit that's 10 by 9.4. I don't think this paper particularly is worried which way round it goes. So you might need to do a bit of maths to work out what yours would need to be as a mat for that front there. Hang the trimmer up for a minute so we know where it is when we want it next. Let's stick these bits of paper down. Do love this one. I've not really used this one yet. Let's say they're an unusual colour combination of papers, but that makes them that little bit more fascinating. I'm going to put that mossy meadow piece on the front there. And then what I want to do is I want to bring that punch in as far as I can get it, centre it by eye so it's top and bottom, and punch a hole like that. And we'll put that to one side for a minute because now we're going to concentrate on our butterfly, not a butterfly, a dragonfly. Insect with wings. Right, I'm going to find a little bit of shimmery white for this one. I think we'll throw some water at this one. That looks like a good size piece of shimmery white. So if we're going to be throwing some water at it, we better get our stays on out. So this is the other butterfly with different wings. Now this one you get a solid body. So whereas the other one we added colour to this centre body piece, with this one you get a black centre body piece. Right, so let's go again with some bumblebee and some misty moonlight, because those are colours in the paper, and I've picked up mossy meadow rather than the shady spruce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Wink of Stella as a water brush. So again we're going to be adding some shimmer, but we're going to be adding the shimmer as we paint on the colour. Now, because it's a one-way valve on these brushes, the colour won't seep back up into the ink, so you won't have a problem of having, if you use it as a water brush, then having sort of green ink coming back into the barrel, because, as I say, there's just a one-way valve on there that prevents that from happening. Just going to find a bit of scrap paper and then we'll come in with some misty moonlight, and let's blend those two together. obviously you don't have to stick to the colours that are in the papers at all. You could get your brights out and make them quite electric-y blue. Or I'm just going to rub that on my bit of paper, and we'll just get a pop of Bumblebee on the roo. Beautiful. Just going to go back to the blue and just add in some blue. Thorax, is that right? Is that what you call the bodies of dragonflies and butterflies? So we'll just give that a little bit of a hint of blue around there. Let's bring in our punch. I'm going to get a little dragonfly there, but I'm going to hang on to him, and I might actually punch another couple of little ones. Let's bring that over a smidge. And let's take add in some colour to these as well. So just fairly random. Oh, I've not done his body. How rude. Let's give this another squeeze. Let's bring in a bit more colour here. And this one. Let's add in some add in a bit of yellow on the ends. There we go. So we've got one big one, 3 little ones. Now I'm going to take some mini dimensionals somewhere. Yep. And I think we'll take a little tiny slither from the edge. Tops off those, and we'll attach a dragonfly just there, like that. And if we bend up his wings, curl those round a bit and bend them up, he should then pop out and pop back in quite nicely. We can bring our little dragonflies round and about. Thank you, Sophie. Let's come back to our greetings. Got this little bit of shimmery white still left here. For a true friend. You are an inspiration. I'm going to grab my big scissors just because I find those easier for cutting. Getting something like greetings out. Attempting to get them straight. It's got some paper on there. Let's take that out. that on there. And let's stick that on here. This one we'll put down flat. And I think this one will pop up. Right, I'm actually going to take a piece of Whisper White cardstock, hopefully. Right, I will take a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm just looking to see if there's a piece in my box. To go 9.5 by 8.9. Hopefully that will sit in there. Now what I should have done, of course, is stuck this in first before I punched it, but we're not going to worry about that too much because we know we took the punch in as far as it would go. Can I get it to go over? I just have to remove my little dragonfly friend for a minute, and possibly this greeting. We may need to put you back in just a second. So we're going to push that back in, line that back up. I'm just going to punch out the white underneath. Let's rebuild. And my little dragonfly, need you back down there. Now, actually, what I wanted to do before I stuck that down, I'm not doing very well, am I? Thinking one step behind instead of one step ahead. I'm going to pop that underneath there before I stick that down, because then we're going to tie this round the front. So we've got a nice white panel inside now that we can write our greeting on, but it also covers up the back of our mossy meadow braided trim. like that. So a little peekaboo card with the dragonfly peeking through. You've got somewhere to write underneath there. Slips through there and holds it shut. So there's one dragonfly card, and that one of course has got shimmer on because we painted it, we watercoloured it. It's on shimmery white card anyway, and then we watercoloured it using our Wink of Stella, so that's going to have extra shimmer. And again, there we are. You might pick it up better if I put that light on. So there's one way to add shimmer to your dragonflies, and this one is even more shimmery because this one we use that infill colour stamp to add colour to the wings, but then spritzed it with some frost white shimmer paint in some rubbing alcohol. So a couple of shimmery dragonflies, one fancy fold, one a bit more clean and simple. But good fun, as I say, and there's no reason you need to stick to those colours. You could have vibrant, bright pink dragonflies. I haven't yet. Quite often I'll go onto Pinterest and look things up. I haven't looked up colours of dragonflies. Might be quite fun to do so. So I hope you've enjoyed the dragonflies. And that stamp set and punch from the Dandy Garden suite. Say it's part of a much bigger suite. You also get the dandelions and the dies that go with it, and obviously once you start combining the two, that's even more exciting. But that little wildflower stamp, I haven't used that today, but that is just beautiful. Some really lovely things you can do with this suite. It's a really lovely suite to get your hands on. So do get it into your shopping list, and if you're here in the UK and then haven't got a demonstrator, then do reach out. And I will do my best to help you. So have a great weekend, everybody, whatever the weather, whether you're basking in sunshine or making snowmen or somewhere in between. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Monday.